So Matchroom have announced their fight camp schedule. 3 weeks of fight camp here. The first show will be topped by Conor Benn taking on Adrian Granados. On the undercard, you'll have Campbell Hatton. You'll have Tommy McCarthy versus Chris Billum Smith. You've got Fowler versus Garcia, Yildirim versus Cullen, Shannon Courtney fighting there, and Sandy Ryan. I'll talk about this a bit more in depth in a second. Week 2, you've got Galahad versus Jazza Dickens. You've got Fabio Wardley against TBA. Prodan versus Marku. Fisher versus Sandland. Babbage versus Bennett. I've done a separate video about, well, actually I talked about this fight in my Babbage post-fight video, rather than making a specific video for this contest. Bridges versus Connolly. Akim Fiaz. That's week 2. And in week 3, Boatsi versus Bolotniks. This is an interesting fight. Felix Cash. Mickinson versus Renowski. Savannah Marshall. Cash Farouk. Hopi Price. Ford versus Belotti. Natasha Jonas. I'll come on to week 2 and week 3 in separate videos. In this video, I want to focus on Fight Camp week 1. As I say, this will be on July 31st. So it's a few weeks away yet. Now, Conor Benn against Granados is a decent fight. Granados is a spirited fighter. I think most people remember him fighting Adrian Broner, and a lot of people feel like he actually won the Broner fight. There's a flag next to Granados' name here. It might be because he got stopped. Yeah, he's suspended by the California State Athletic Commission until the 30th of this month. It says it twice here. It says it until the 15th and the 30th. And I'm assuming, no, it can't be because of that. It can't be because of that, because yeah, he got stopped by Danny Garcia, and that was in Carson, California. But since then, he's fought in California, you know, on the other occasions, again here in Carson, California, and that was a majority decision. And the reason I'm saying the flag could be next to his name and the suspension and all that is because, of course, when a fighter gets stopped, they will usually receive a suspension. And in America, because there's 50 states, you might have to reapply all over again for your license. I don't know how long you get licensed for in America per state. Let's say you're a fighter that's based in California, but you go out to New York to have a fight. How long does that license with the New York State Athletic Commission last? Is it just on a one-fight basis? You know, if it is, then you can understand why BoxRec put these things up. And they put them up very frequently, by the way, suspended by the whatever commission. Is it just because, you know, you haven't fought in that state again and you haven't reapplied for your license with that state after being stopped? I don't know. Whatever the case may be, it's a side issue. Granados, tough Mexican. As you can see, 21-8. He's only been stopped once, and that was against Danny Garcia back in 2019. He was down twice in round 2 and once in round 5. He lost to Robert Easter Jr. after that on points over 10. He then picked up a win against Arturo Carrillo, excuse me. He then had a draw with Jose Luis Sanchez. Earlier on in his career, he fought Sean Porter. That went the distance. The Broner fight, which I've already talked about, which split decision. A lot of people feel like he actually beat Broner there. Amir Imam, he was the guy to take his undefeated record. Amir Imam was a top-ranked guy, I believe. I remember, you know, when he was being touted by some. Brad Solomon, early on in his career, he lost that on a split decision on points over 10. I didn't see that. Felix Diaz lost that on a majority. Kermit Cintron, of all people. Okay, he lost a split decision to Cintron back in 2013. Frankie Gomez lost to him back in 2011. Split decision draw to Leonardo Taina. and lost his second pro fight on a split decision over 4 to Jose Fuentes. All right, so that's Adrian Granados. He's a tough guy. He will come to try and win, tried and tested. Is this a step up from Sammy Vargas? I want to say it probably is. 31 years of age. Might be a bit bigger than Granados. A bit bigger than Sammy Vargas. Granados, that is. So, yeah, maybe it's a step up from Sammy Vargas. We'll see what Conor Benn can do here. Whether he can really put a dent in this guy the way he did, very quickly against Sammy Vargas. If he can do a similar job on Granados, it would send yet another statement. We really have to give Conor Benn a lot of credit for the improvements he's made over the years. Because when he turned pro, yes, you could see that he had his dad's spirit. Very spirited. You could see the meanness in his eyes like his dad, that kind of wild look that his dad had. He's got the same look in his eyes. Very similar, body mechanics to his dad. Very similar, style and what have you. Boxes a bit more than his dad did, but his dad could box. I know he's been selling himself short in recent interviews, his dad, but he could box when he wanted to. We saw that in the Eubank rematch, for example. So, yeah, we all saw the Nigel Benn DNA in Conor, but there was a lot of skepticism, particularly, him getting dropped in fights and looking ridiculously wild. Again, it was similar to his dad on the way up and not really appearing, though, to have pound for pound. Obviously, his dad's a bigger guy, but pound for pound, not having the same kind of punching power his dad had. That's the way I perceived it to be early on in Conor Benn's career and many other people too. But of late, he's been proving people wrong, I think. He's been slowly but surely starting to convince people, excuse me, that he may actually be, if not legit world level, then a lot closer to that than people initially suspected. And yeah, I have to give Conor Benn maximum props for blocking out all the naysayers, all the people saying, he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He's just living off his dad's name. Blocking all that out, or maybe even using that to motivate himself, to take his game up several notches. So I've got to commend him on that. Tremendous improvements. Managed to get Sammy Vargas out. I didn't like the stoppage in the Sammy Vargas fight, particularly a guy who's that experienced. There hadn't even been a knockdown. And I really don't like that kind of thing. I know Sammy Vargas didn't like it either. But nonetheless, he managed to get him into trouble very, very quickly. And that was impressive. So, yeah. Let's see how he does against Adrian Granados. He's riding the crest of a wave at the moment. He's got some real momentum behind him. That Formella performance was good. Blowing away Vargas in one round was good. Real momentum. Let's see if he can carry that same energy and that same form into this Granados fight. I'm expecting Conor Benn to win. If he's disciplined, if he's responsible, and we know he's quite versatile now because he boxed against Formella. And we saw him box in that fight as well as fight. So we know he's versatile, but he can mix it up. He's got plenty of heart. He should have enough to overcome Adrian Granados, I think. But I'm not expecting it to be a one-round blowout, unless there's one of these silly matchroom stoppages again, where, you get a guy up against the ropes and land 2 clean shots, but the guy's still very much with it, and you stop the fight. Not like, come on. We need an end to all that. Hopefully DAZN don't allow. I mean, look, I'm not putting any faith in DAZN not allowing for this, but they're surely going to have an input on Eddie Hearn. And remember, DAZN is a global brand. It's not just like Sky where their market is the UK only. Perhaps DAZN will want Eddie Hearn to be a bit less protective, when it comes to quick stoppages and all that kind of stuff. Because DAZN, at the end of the day, being global, they just want the best possible fights. They want drama, right? And if a guy goes in there, gets his opponent up against the ropes in the first round, like Conor Benn did in the Vargas fight, has him in trouble, but then Vargas manages to come back. Maybe Conor Benn punches himself out and it turns into a real slugfest, surely DAZN would rather that than a guy not even getting the opportunity to see if he can produce that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Maybe I'm giving DAZN too much credit here. Maybe they'll be just like Sky. Who knows? But I didn't like the stoppage in that fight. Hopefully we don't see anything resembling that kind of stoppage for either man. Whether it's Granados getting a stoppage like that or Conor Benn getting a stoppage like that. Now, obviously, you can't imagine Granados having that kind of favor from the officials where he lands 2 shots and Conor Benn is not out of it by any means, but, you know, he's buzzed a little bit. He's up against the ropes. Referee steps in and says, no, it's over, Conor. You can't imagine that happening, but you could imagine it happening the other way. The point I'm making is I just want fairness all round. I don't like to see premature stoppages, no matter which way it goes. So hopefully we don't see one in this fight. We'll see how Conor Benn does with this guy. If it is a step up from Vargas, it's a marginal step up. It's not a massive step up. It's a marginal step up, but it's appropriate, I would say. It's definitely good that they're putting the brakes on all the Sean Porter talk and this kind of business. So I think they're actually doing a very good job building Conor Benn. A very good job. I think his management team, his training team and everything. And, you know, Eddie Hearn, you have to give him some credit there. They're doing a good job building this guy the right way. Not rushing him. Not looking to throw him in the deep end too soon. And also not moving him too slow because he has been tested all the way along the way. Those fights against Peno, for example, were real tests. And they wanted to put him back in against that guy to see how much progress he'd made, to see how much improvements he'd made since the first fight. So, yeah, I think they're doing a good job building this guy and developing him as a fighter. Not just building him in terms of his brand, his name. No, but actually giving him the right fights to bring him on. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Conor Benn versus Adrian Granados. How do you see that one going? Now, Tommy McCarthy versus Chris Billam-Smith. I think that's a good fight for the European Cruiserweight title. Personally, I would favor Billam-Smith there over Tommy McCarthy. Tommy McCarthy does have some boxing ability, but personally, I think Smith has shown a bit more fire and a bit more desire. And I'm not saying it's going to be an easy fight for him by any stretch of the imagination against Tommy McCarthy. But yeah, I do favor Billam-Smith in that one. But it's a good fight. Also, the vacant British Cruiserweight title on the line. You got Anthony Fowler going up against Roberto Garcia. I mean, that's an okay fight. I don't see that as particularly amazing. But then again, maybe there's drama there, right? Because there has been some matchroom undercards which I wasn't particularly enthused by when I initially saw them, but they turned out to be really eventful with loads of good fights and upsets and all that kind of stuff happening. So I'm not going to say that this card is not a good card. I would say that it's fairly standard Saturday fight night fare, but you can have some really good entertainment on a Saturday fight night. So we'll have to just wait and see how some of these bouts pan out. But Conor Benn versus Granados, I think, is decent. McCarthy, Billam-Smith, decent. Fowler versus Garcia, nah. Yildirim versus Jack Cullen. Weird. Why do I find that fight weird? I'm not sure why it is, but a weird fight. Okay. Avni Yildirim's been in there against Eubank Jr., of course. Anthony Durrell, and most recently, Canelo Alvarez, where he barely threw a punch and really went out with a whimper against Canelo. He was talking about being this Turkish warrior in the pre-fight, but he didn't manage to summon the spirit of the Ottoman Empire, did he? In this in the Canelo fight, and went out with a whimper. Shannon Courtney against TBA, Campbell Hatton TBA, Sandy Ryan. So it's a standard Saturday fight night fare. I know Eddie Hearn, being the promoter, as you would expect, likes to hype it up as if these are groundbreaking cards of immeasurable quality, amazing stuff. Oh my gosh. He's going to do that. He's the promoter. But in my view, it's standard Saturday fight night fare. It is what it is. I'm not going to be jumping up and down with joy. Or I certainly wasn't when I saw this particular lineup. It's all right. I'll tune in. Ain't got nothing better to do on a Saturday night, then I'll tune in. If I have got something better to do, I'll hopefully catch it the next day on the zone, right? Well, we'll catch it the next day on the zone. Because this is going to be his first. Is this his first show on the zone? Maybe, no, it's not his first show on the zone. He'll have shows. This is just his first fight camp. And that will be on the zone. So yeah, I'll definitely catch it the next day. If I've got other plans. Because this is not the kind of show that I would put all my other plans and whatever to one side to make sure I stay in and watch. So anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below.